So the first kind of experiment I came to wasn't writing kind of experiment. It was a scientific experiment, particularly with looking at chemotherapy protocols. The thing about chemotherapy protocols is they basically sound like you're speaking a foreign language if you're not talking to somebody who's also doing research in this area. So what I thought I would try to do tonight is to give you some images to associate with that, to give you some experience with the drugs and with how they work together. Because most of the protocols are not about new drugs, they're about combining drugs and finding which combinations work best. One of the more interesting ones in the past decade targets HER2 growth factor, and it's called Perjeta. And it only works with an older drug called Herceptin. So it's kind of like bruschetta. It's like bread and tomatoes. You need both. You can't really have one. If you just have the bread, it's toast. If you have the tomatoes, you just have a tomato. Seriously, who's going to sit down and just eat a tomato with a knife and fork? Or with their hands, like an apple? Can you even eat a tomato like an apple? So you see, they have to work together, Perjeta and Herceptin. It's like the bread and tomatoes. Bruschetta is bread and red and bread and red tomatoes and yellow tomorrows and orange tomatoes and green tomorrows and purple tomatoes looming in the middle of the Thursday and through this day, which is old. The bread should be day old before toasting, before rubbing with roast garlic. Do not roast the tomatoes, for they are summoning her to balsamic, to salt, to pepper, tomorrow. Now throw the tomato dice into the bowl with seeds up, with skins up, face up, to macerate, to make soft, or made soft, or soaked, to soften in olive oil, from olive, for extra virgin olive oil. The future of oil is leaving here. So seeds up, sixes up, to fill the bread, let the tomatoes fall softly, only onto the bread. Yet bruschetta is simple, is still experimental. Appetizer, a part of a whole protocol. Please see the velvet protocol.